Today, dear friends, we have the lovely Matthew Clifton with us, who's very kindly offered his time to walk us through Product Earth, introduce him to the people of the GCS community, and also talk about all the wonderful work that Matt does in the cannabis industry. So, for those who don't know Matt, he is the CEO of Product Earth. He is also the CEO of Milk and Amber and a non-executive director at the Cannabis Trades Association as well. So he's a very busy man, and he's very kindly made some time for us today to go through Product Earth, Milk and Amber, and everything that he does in the cannabis industry. So Matt, I don't know if you fancy giving us a little intro to yourself and put a bit of meat on the bones there for people that maybe don't know you as well as I do or we do. But yeah, Matt, thank you for coming and doing this podcast with us, and yeah. Would you mind sharing a little bit about us?
Honour and a privilege to be here, Chris. So thank you very much for having me. So like you said, I'm Matt Clifton. I'm CEO of Product Earth, Milk and Amber, and also now a non-executive director on the Cannabis Trade Association. My background is I've got kind of 25 years sales and marketing experience. I work for companies like the Financial Times, and I was one of the first employees at Facebook outside of the US. I was a group of 6 of us in a pokey little office in Soho, and I was there for 12 months, and my kind of final role was heading up product marketing for Europe, Middle East and Africa, which was basically helping 5 million odd advertisers understand how to use the platform. And then end of 2019, I left there, my lovely secure job in technology, or not so secure anymore as it seems, to work in the wonderful world of cannabis. I've been a consumer of cannabis as long as I can remember, which ironically probably isn't that long. But yeah, it's been one hell of a journey. A very good, rich learning experience for sure.
And we're gonna talk about some of those finer details and some of that richness and everything that you've sort of accomplished in between, and then also what's coming as well to the cannabis industry now that you're bringing your expertise and knowledge to the cannabis industry as well. So, first of all, Matt, what was the transition like from working at Facebook and Meta to your first experiences of the cannabis industry? What were your first impressions, and what triggered the change?
Well, what triggered the change was I was spending my life on aeroplanes, to be honest. I was in California a lot, I was in Texas a lot, I was in Dublin every Monday, and sometimes all of these things kind of converged. And I think my time zone was somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic. I've got a little boy, Rafi, and a loving wife who puts up with me. And I just wasn't seeing them, from Sunday night through to Thursday night. I just wouldn't see them. And let's be honest, what's the point in working if you're working for your family if you never see them? So it was time to move on. And I think, I've always been of the opinion that when you stop learning, then what are you doing as well? And I'd kind of been through as much as I could possibly be through at Meta, as it's known now. And I wanted to learn something else. And I wanted to work on something I felt genuinely passionate about. And I think, as legislation changed in 2018 and people started to wake up that cannabis is a medicine and it can help lots of people, as well as the fact there is just a large adult use market. You don't have to be a medicinal user to take cannabis. You should be allowed to. It's a human right as far as I'm concerned. And just delving into that world and seeing how I could help build businesses, build an industry, that's safe and good for the planet and everyone that inhabits it. That's kind of rooted in my DNA. So that was kind of, one of the reasons I moved. I never actually, the plan was not to be the CEO of Product Earth. The plan was to be an investor in Product Earth. But we did a kind of a final raise after I'd left. And then it kind of seemed, well, look, my background, whilst having worked in these big companies and stuff like that, I am a cannabis consumer. Consume cannabis every single day, absolutely love it. So I like to think I can kind of put a bit of a balanced approach together when it comes to talking about cannabis, and I think I can help people that want to build businesses as well, having done so myself. I love my vices. I've also got a cocktail bar in London, cool. So if it comes to booze and cannabis or booze and medicines, then I'm your man. So that's why I kind of ended up in this world, a little bit by fate, a little bit by luck. And I guess, first impressions was not what I was expecting it to be at all. It's a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of people that have the right to consume cannabis and struggle to have their voices heard, struggle to be taken seriously. And I hate that. I hate marginalized communities. But the one connective piece of tissue between Meta and between cannabis is this kind of concept of community. Meta is about communities. I mean, it used to be about communities. It's about so much more in AI and all these wonderful things now. But deep down in its core, it was about communities, bringing people together, making the world more open and connected. And that, I think, as a mission, when we were such a mission-driven company, translates very, very nicely into cannabis indeed. So that was kind of the connective tissue. And then since, now, what's it? 4 years. God, have I been doing this for 4 years? Wow. Okay, so 4 years in, you start to scratch the surface and understand the challenges that everyone's facing every single day. Even the word community in itself is divisive and it's not tangible. And no one could ask anyone what the community is, and everyone will tell you something different. It could be a home grower, it could be a dealer, it could be a patient, it could just be anyone that consumes cannabis. And I think the reality is that there's multiple cohorts in there. And unfortunately, what I've seen is it's quite a divisive world, right? I think everyone's kind of shooting for the same goal. Everyone wants it fully legalized. They want the right to be able to grow their own. And I don't think anyone disagrees with that. But as soon as you hear about someone making a medicinal play, then they're like, oh, well, you don't care about adult use.
Yeah.
So everything's very polarized. And the reality isn't. But because angst has built up for so many years, because the fact that it's restricted is crazy, I think that often means that people start to shout in echo chambers and they start to shout at each other and bring each other down. And something that is in the values of Product Earth is togetherness and collaboration and bringing people together, because ultimately we're stronger together. So that's kind of the mission that we're following. And if you speak to anyone that works at the Product Earth group, so both at Product Earth and Milk and Amber, you'll see it's written in our DNA to be exactly like that. We measure our success based on the success of others.
I think when you attend Product Earth, and if you haven't, and I'm sure people that have would agree with me, you do get a very community feeling almost. Everyone's friendly, everyone's getting along, everyone's interested in each other. There's a lot of conversations going on. Everyone's saying hi, people recognize each other and go and say hello, and it's, I guess you don't necessarily, I've not experienced that at any other cannabis event, but also most mainstream events as well. I think they struggle to get that same community as well. It's more a large group of individuals, whereas here there's a lot more shared values and shared interests and maybe passions as well that people share.
You're completely right. At the end of the day, I think everyone thinks it's cannabis that connects us all, but it's more than that. There's a culture, there's a mindset to a cannabis consumer who doesn't accept the status quo. They do, well done Apple, think differently. And when you all come together, whether or not you share the same opinions, you share a similar mindset. And I think that's the secret sauce and why the conversations are so interesting as well. And at Product Earth, we are evolving constantly. So I think once upon a time, people would have said we're a recreational cannabis event. Firstly, I don't like the term recreational. I'm not a recreational wine drinker. I just drink wine. I'm an adult. I'm allowed to drink wine. So I try not to use the term recreational at all. It's adult use. But what we've realized over time is, no, I mean, if you want to go and buy weed, you can buy weed pretty much anywhere these days. I live in a tiny little village. I can probably walk outside and get some within 5 minutes. So that's not what Product Earth's about. Glastonbury wouldn't say that they are a show where you can go and buy weed, but of course you can go and buy weed at Glastonbury. It's everywhere. And that's why our focus is on a higher level, I like to think. We're trying to do something a bit more different. We're trying to bring innovation to the world. I was talking to people this week about it. I kind of want to be, this is showing my age, the tomorrow's world of cannabis events, where people come to see the latest technology, whether you're coming from a B2B angle and you're looking for new products that you can distribute yourself, whether you're an end user just wondering what Puffco have brought out now, or Stores and Bickle or something like that. Product Earth is the place to go and see that. And what's more, beyond that, we don't even like just talking about cannabis in isolation. I think this is the symptomatic of the problem that we face when we have a stigma that we need to break down. When you speak in an echo chamber and you speak about cannabis in isolation, it's hard to welcome other people into the conversation to be taken seriously. But when you start talking about natural medicines, which is now how we refer to ourselves as kind of a natural medicine weekend experience, and you're putting things like cordyceps and lion's mane in the same conversation as cannabis, makes people realize these are just plants growing from plants and fungi and growing from the earth, which have genuine medicinal therapeutic properties that we can all benefit from. And I think people are taking more and more care of their own well-being and mental health and physical well-being. And, Product Earth's a celebration of that. And you'll see, as I'm sure we'll talk about shortly, we lean into the experiences. People want to sit down and smoke a joint, great, but what else can you do rather than sit down and consume your cannabis in a legal fashion, if you like? And that's really where the experiences come into play. We get to celebrate the culture behind each of the individuals, and there is a diverse range of people that consume cannabis, and that's one of the things that I really love about it. You could be sat on the tube and just like looking at all around you, and it could be anyone on that train could actually be consumer. Cannabis doesn't discriminate.
Ooh, that's a good catchphrase there, Matt. Cannabis doesn't discriminate. On that note as well, then, I guess if we shelf Product Earth temporarily, what is the role then of Milk and Amber in facilitating that community and supporting some of the challenges that community faces, should I say, with regards to getting online, being sort of visible, and sort of getting the same, the same rights in a way online as other industries maybe do.
Well, again, I don't want it to sound like my entire career was a series of luck and mistakes, but the plan was never to launch a marketing agency for this industry, but our hands were forced, right? So I left my secure job in technology at the end of 2019, and I kind of walked the show, as it were, as like a CEO in waiting, but technically I didn't start until after the show. And then I was gearing up for 2020. Yes, here we go. It's my time to shine. And then there was a pandemic, so we couldn't even put a show on. And it was bad, no one was making money. I worked for 18 months without a salary, which my wife was absolutely thrilled about. And it got to December 2020, and it was like, right, we haven't done a show. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stick this out. So what are we going to do? We need to do something for the community. We just had this, I think it was our founder, James Walton. He never likes to put his face to anything. James Walton, I'm calling you out. There you go. You're public now.
A screenshot.
He had the idea. He had the idea of doing a joint rolling competition, and in his typical way, he has an idea and then walks away. He's just like, "Oh, shall I take this one then, James?" And what we tried to do is actually to run it, because we're all stuck inside, to do it on Meta. So what we did, in order to get around the policies, we listed the High Roller World Cup as an art company. And in our first video, which was me essentially just rolling a joint on the kitchen table, we kind of put on there, your favorite legal herb, no combustion. Okay, so that's us navigating the policies of Meta. So technically, this was an origami competition. That was it. And we kind of just checked on the metrics to see what would happen. And over a couple of days, suddenly we got 45,000 views. And it was like, right, we've got something here. Everyone go and get some sponsors. And, we spoke to Vibes and people like that, and Marley One, et cetera, And we got a good selection of brands, which enabled us to do some paid media behind all of this, to be far-reaching all around the world. And the idea was, you can either do a speed rolling competition or you can do a creative rolling competition. And this is how you enter. And I I thought like a cross joint was pretty cool, you know. I was like, well, that's what I was expecting people to
Like
be
the
doing.
movies.
Someone rolled an entire Medusa's head, and it was a completely smokable joint. And then I think that the winner was like a pirate ship. But these things look absolutely impressive. And we had weavers, so weavers and koala puffs. Weavers joined us, and he was one of our judges, and everyone just took part. It actually felt very much like a kind of a community event. And all the videos of people rolling joints as quickly as they could. I think the winner was like 7 seconds for what it's worth. How do you even do that? Like, my hands don't move that fast. Anyway, the content got viewed like 650,000 times. And it was like, do you know what? Not only is this something fun that we can do for the community, I think we can do something broader. And so we spoke to Drug Science was actually our first client, and we were doing patient acquisition for them because, you know, you can't do CBD advertising. So surely medical cannabis is just a major no-no. And actually, thankfully, I've still got a fairly decent network, Meta, and all of our ads got rejected and everything got blocked to start off with. Well, that was short-lived. But we managed to get it unblocked. We had some guidance, and we went through certain verifications, which allowed us to find patients on Meta and point them towards T21, and we got some absolutely fantastic results. And that was when Milk and Amber was born. And since then, you know, we've had a wide array of clients. We're working with some really interesting people right now, and we've done some great work with CanCard, Grow Lab Organics, you know, this community-owned grow in the Isle of Man. Very, very exciting project to be working on. It's genuinely helping people. They're actually listening to the community and responding in a positive way, and actually giving patients what they need. So I'm really, really proud to do work like that. And even people like Garden Culture Magazine, you know, Canada-based, but they're global. Obviously, different markets, you can talk about different things more openly. But we're doing some wonderful work with them, and we're helping to build out a digital platform for them. You know, they've been very much a physical magazine, but they're expanding their operation into a digital proposition as well now. And it's great to be building that with them. And, you know, we've got a new client coming on board as well now, which is Lumino Recruitment. Can't shout their praises enough, to be honest. The best recruiters in this industry across Europe. There is no doubt in my mind. They hire all of my people for me. So yeah, it's wonderful to be working with these people, and I think just getting more of an insight into their businesses makes us better at what we do, and also, you know, more knowledgeable about the challenges that people are facing every single day. So yeah, that's Milk and Amber, and we are continuing to expand, and the team will be at Product Earth, wandering around, probably very busy. But yeah, I encourage everyone to go and speak to Rachel, Ronan and Rob. They're wonderful people doing God's work.
On the note of some of those insights, Matt, and some of the knowledge you've gained as a result of Milk and Amber and Product Earth, what would be some of the main lessons that you've learned over that time, and what lessons would you maybe share with people who are unsure about the cannabis industry or sort of making that transition at the moment?
What is it? Is in moving into the world of cannabis?
Yeah, what for people who are new to it, people who are maybe on the peripheries and haven't quite jumped in as far as you have, what lessons would you share with them, and what advice maybe would you give them as well, having gone through that first few years now?
Never ever underestimate the value of your transferable skills, because they are really, really important. You know, the cannabis industry is disorganized. You've got money men at the top who are just not connected to the end consumer at all, and I think people realize that. And that, you know, whether you're investing in oil or you're investing in cannabis, when you're one of those people, it really makes no difference at all. But if you are truly passionate about cannabis, there are more and more job opportunities turning up. I'm hiring right now. Quick advert, if anyone is good at paid media and they want to join my team, and please let me know. But it's having a background of any kind of skill set. It probably is transferable into the world of cannabis. What people need is a bit of organisation, and they need a bit of backing, a bit of support and encouragement to show how these skills can be transferred. But actually, this is going to be something we're going to talk about at Product Earth as well. We've got a whole seminar zone area which is going to be dedicated to building a career in cannabis. So there's a reason in itself just to come along, and you'll hear from the guys at Lumino talking about the types of roles that they're hiring for. And obviously, you think about cannabis and you go straight into cultivation, but you've got non-plant touching roles as well. There's some wonderful people to work with, and it's kind of, it's the tech of 2023, right? You've got these new companies which are emerging, which could be absolute unicorns, and you could be part of that journey. And to be honest, if you're working for the right kind of company, they're probably looking for someone like you, and someone who does have, experience elsewhere that can be brought in, but also has a passion for the plant. And so, I think make sure you're working with the right people. Understand your value and your worth. Never ever kind of put yourself down and just think, because it's cannabis, this is a bit of a joke. It's not a joke. This is serious business we're in. We have a good time, but it's a genuine career path, and you can become very, very quickly one of the best in the industry by leveraging your kind of transferable skills. And it should be something that people should be put off by. I think anyone that's willing to take a risk and follow something they're truly passionate about should be rewarded.
Very wise words there, Matt. I think I share your view on a lot of that. There's a lot of scope for professionalizing the industry now, and without certain skills, there's only so far that the industry can go, and it does rely on a lot of those transferable skills that are being gained in other industries that can then be applied to the cannabis sector. And I think a lot of people, like you mentioned, are quite focused on the cultivation side of things. They think that's it. There's nothing more than that. And I think a lot of people would be quite shocked by the breadth of jobs that are out there, the breadth of employment opportunities, and as well the demand for some of those skills and the demand for more people as well. It's definitely growing. A lot of that investor money is still coming into the industry, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon either. And who knows, in a couple of years' time as well, might have some law changes as well that might also encourage the industry further. And so it's making a lot of progress with, I'd say, very little input from the government so far, and very little mainstream support, I guess, is maybe what I'd say too. Yeah. So it's built on passion.
I think something that I think is really interesting is, a lot of the passions of a cannabis consumer tie in very nicely to the needs of the market right now. Marketing is one of the hardest things to do, cannabis brands, right? There's so many limitations there. And when you go to, I don't want to kind of slam any of the big agencies, but if you go to a mainstream marketing agency, they're going to be thinking about your brand in the same way that they are about Dove or Nivea. And it's just completely different. And the artistic skills of a cannabis consumer, there's a guy, Rob, that I see on Facebook. He makes these really beautiful tables and necklaces and jewelry and just kind of canvases and stuff like that. Beautiful work. Someone like him, he could easily go and get a job for a cannabis company as a designer or a creative or something like that, and be absolutely invaluable. Copywriting. Ruby DeVoy, I think, does absolutely fantastic journalism. She could do anything, but she's choosing to work in this space, and I think she's carved out a really unique position for herself. She gets a hard time from some people, and I think that's a real shame that she does, but she battles through. You've got to be resilient, for sure, because I think, going back to that point earlier about the fact that people are so frustrated, people are often suffering with mental illnesses, and this may be why they're consuming cannabis in the first place. It does come across as angst and anger, and sometimes it can be misdirected. And there's kind of like an underlying tone that if you're making money, then you're doing something wrong. There's nothing wrong with looking after yourself and your family. We're certainly not the 1% here. We're talking about just earning a living and taking care of yourself, doing something that you absolutely love. And yeah, like I said, copywriting is a fantastic thing. I mean, Rachel does a lot of our copywriting for Milk and Amber, and she's everyone seems young to me these days. God, 42. I feel like I'm still 20. But she does some absolutely incredible work, and I think she worked for a cricket club before she joined us. So there are opportunities out there. People buy people. Be a good person. Be a force for good. Be positive. Negativity, no one wants to be around. So I think I would really encourage people to reach out and see what opportunities there are out there, because they're out there. People like me are looking to hire people like you.
On that note, Matt, what's your vision for Product Earth? It's just been the 8th birthday the other day. What do you...
Yes.
And you mentioned as well filling that sort of futureland sort of space, which I see definitely. What do you think... What would you like to see by Product Earth's 20th birthday?
Well, I mean, by our 20th birthday, I'd like full legalization. I'd like Product Earth to essentially be a farmer's market for craft cannabis, whilst also having an expo for the best innovation in the industry. But actually, basically, there's this whole trend, right? You can see it at pretty much any music festival or any kind of festival. There's now much more focus on well-being and wellness. And I mean, I'm even on this journey myself. I love red wine a little bit too much. But I've just, over the last couple of weeks, started drinking like non-alcoholic beer, and suddenly I'm just not actually drinking alcohol apart from the weekends. Never saw that coming. But that's happening in all of the events as well. So we kind of test the water. What's going to jive with people and all the rest of it. We've got a little post that's going to be going out soon, which is waking up the right way at Product Earth. We've got gong baths and yoga and mushroom oil breath work and stuff like that. I see that being the forefront of the movement, if you like, where we're really kind of celebrating our individualism, and we're celebrating wellness. So rather than being like, how smashed can I get? It's going to be, how can I get the best out of myself through consuming natural medicines? I mean, you've heard me, Chris. I wax lyrical about London nootropics. Those coffees are legit.
He's addicted.
I drink them every single morning, whether it's my Flow or my Mojo or my Zen in the afternoon. They are absolutely fantastic, and you just feel great, and that's what you want to do. I don't want to feel disconnected. I want to feel more connected, but I want to feel like I can process everything that's going on, the good and the bad. There's a lot of tough times you go through, especially in the event space. I mean, you can have one day which just feels tragic, but you've just got to keep on plowing on, because sooner or later you're going to get to the good stuff again. And I find that natural medicines really help me process all of these kind of thoughts and kind of keep me focused and achieve the best that I can achieve. I am only human after all, but I find, like I said, the natural medicines really help get the best out of me on a daily basis. And that's what I want the show to be in the future, helping people realise their potential whilst having fun. These things don't have to be serious. You can have a whale of a time whilst being your best self. And I think if we can achieve that with Product Earth and give people fun experiences that maybe they haven't seen before, we're not a music festival. If you want to go and listen to U2 or whatever it is, go and listen to U2. But if you want to have something fundamentally unique, then you come to Product Earth and you look around and you see all of the other people that share that mindset. And I just want to expand on that. We'll probably have maybe 6,000-7,000 people this year. I want that to get to 10,000, 20,000. And it just to be this kind of source of love and goodness where people genuinely just come together and have a great time.
I look forward to it, Matt. It's already there pretty much. We just need to get more people along, don't we, and let more people know that it even exists in the first place.
Well, I tell you what, Chris, the big thing at the moment, it's the realization that the food people are eating on a day-to-day basis is basically toxic. Yeah. And the thing about natural medicines, well, what's a natural medicine? Food's a medicine. The sun's a medicine. So just getting people to understand that the environment that we live in is a natural source of healing medicine. I think is a wonderful thing. And so I'd love to move more into having kind of more growing your own produce, more interesting foods that you can eat, which are going to be genuinely good for you. And William Fugard from last year, I feel like he's changed my life. I'm fermenting all sorts of things in
kombuchas
constantly now. I don't even eat normal chili sauce. It has to be a fermented chili sauce, and it's improving my gut health, which then improves my mental health. Very, very strange, but it genuinely does. And then you just get that warm, fuzzy feeling of producing something yourself, which, to be honest, I'd encourage everyone to grow as much produce as they can, make their own foods, cook from scratch. But it's easier said than done. Unfortunately, it's those people that are struggling for cash are then also the people that are forced to eat crap food. And I think that is a crying shame. And this is something that I think we'll be thinking about, bigger picture. How can we make healthier options more accessible to everybody in all forms of natural medicine in the future as well?
There's certainly a trend at the moment where we're being funneled towards more synthetic produce and mass-produced produce, when we know that's not necessarily always in our best interest or something that our body responds to in the most efficient way. And having researched cannabis and then started researching other topics, looking at, obviously cannabis is a wonderful medicine. Phytocannabinoids have incredible therapeutic potential, but if you trace it right back, you realise that it's as you mentioned, it's what you consume on the daily is essentially your medicine, and the food is what you eat is your daily medicine, basically. And it's a shame that and this is the nice thing that Product Earth does, is sort of redirect people back to the earth and what the earth produces, rather than what large corporations and international food producers maybe distribute to the public.
Chris. You get us.
We know. So I think that it's a wonderful thing that Product Earth's doing, and then also if on the way to that 20th birthday, we're also helping more people become food independent, health independent, informed, safer, smarter, then it's ticking all the boxes, not just in terms of building a sort of industrial, commercial opportunity, but also actually bettering people's lives in the process and contributing to a better world. So it's a wonderful...
It comes down to education.
Completely.
It's all about education, Chris. And do you know what? Even when we did our cannabis safety training with you last year, I always wondered, why when I go for a run do I feel like more of a sense of euphoria than other people? And it's because of cannabinoids get stored in your fat, and as you burn your fat, then honestly, that's changed my life. I think it's what's kept me running. I'm just out there all the time. It's like, oh yeah, baby, as soon as the fat burns, it's gonna be good.
Well, hopefully we can get more people running as well. That'd be a fitness element.
Running, although not with. I'm a bit of a solo runner, I have to say. I don't know, I feel the competition and then I try and run really fast and it's like gas out very, very quickly. But I do love being able to turn what was a hobby is now a bit of an infatuation. But we did I did one of those charity things in January for intractable epilepsy. So I've loved how I've been able to turn this hobby into kind of like a force for good and be able to raise money for people that are desperately in need. So I love doing things like that on the side as well. So if anyone does have any interesting challenges for me to do, send them through. I will certainly try and do them.
Cross country.
Certainly if it's through. Cross country is my jam. Yeah, I'm not a sprinter. I'm not built for sprinting.
Yeah, no, I don't have a different kind of person, that, isn't it? We must shout out intractable.org.uk. Matt mentioned them there. They support families and their children with the costs of cannabis medicines, which can be ridiculously priced, thousands of pounds a month, depending on the needs of that patient or child. And so we'll be featuring them a lot more, but also Product Earth's done a wonderful job of supporting them too, and we'll continue to try and make that aware. Obviously, laws changed, but there's a cost associated with those medicines. It's all private, and so those families are having to sell houses, sell family heirlooms in order to pay for their children's life-saving medicine. So that's something that will continue to raise awareness around and keep trying to mention and help. But I think that's a testament to some of the lovely stuff that Product Earth does as well, and a lot of the problems and issues in the industry that community is there to support and try and clear up as well. So I have to ask Matt, and I mention this almost every time we speak. Yeah, I can't not. How, and I guess you sort of alluded to it, health and fitness as well, but as someone who manages so many people, has so many hats to wear, and has so many responsibilities, what is your advice for fellow entrepreneurs, should I say, who are trying to find the mythical balance between family and professional life?
Yeah. So, I mean, it all starts with hiring good people, right? That's the important thing. You have to hire people that you can rely on. Mark Zuckerberg once said that only hire people you'd work for. And that's what I do. So anyone that I've hired, well done, I would work for you. But it just means that you have your own kind of quality bar, and when you look for that in other people, it just means you can rely on them more. It's very difficult when you're building a company to hand over the reins to somebody else and just be able to rely on them, and there's a risk involved. But it does start with hiring the right kind of people that you can work with. And I mean, in some regards, it's harder being a parent and finding that work-life balance or work-life integration. Sometimes it's easier. I mean, it's harder just because, oh my God, children are exhausting, right?
For sure.
It's constant. But at the same time, I have my family come first. So when it's pickup time, that's it. I'm done. I'm not working. I'm going to go and pick up my boy, and I will be with him until he goes to bed. And if you want me afterwards, then you can speak to me afterwards. That's fine. But I very much dedicate all of my time that I possibly can to my family. That's why I'm doing this all in the first place. And anyone that holds that against you is someone that's not worth working with at the end of the day. And so getting that kind of similar mindset, I think, is really important. And lead by example. I think I'm failing sometimes because my team love, not all of them, but some of them are like working over the weekend and sending emails at crazy hours and stuff like that. But they may have gone out for a 3-hour walk in the afternoon, or gone to the gym, or for a swim, or whatever it takes to kind of get that balance. So just because they may have a different working cadence to you, it doesn't mean they aren't working as hard as you. So I think that's really important. Flexibility, working with the right people, setting your own lines in the sand and sticking to them. And it's difficult as well when you've created something. You can't ever expect an employee to care about your business as much as you do, because they aren't paid millions of pounds. No one's paid millions of pounds, but you need to find ways of motivating them and getting them to feel passionate about their role and giving them levels of responsibility. And that is not easy to do, but when you find the right people, it comes quite organically. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I look at it. I carry my stress into the evenings sometimes. I tend to be able to even block it out just when I'm with Rafi and doing his homework with him or whatever it may be, and then it kind of comes as this wave afterwards. It's like, oh my God, there's a million things I haven't done. I had 3 things on my to-do list. Oh, here's Pepe. There he is. I have a list like 3 things. I must do this today, and it gets to the end of the day, and it's like, well, I haven't done any of those 3 things, and now I've got another 3 things, and it kind of all can get quite overwhelming. But ruthless prioritization. Just some things just aren't as important as others, and just be transparent with people. It's not being rude. It's being just clear. It's like, is this something that you really need me for, or am I sat on a call for the sake of being sat on a call?
Yeah.
Meta, that's what happened at Meta. I mean, you get to this point where you've got meetings from 9 till 5, and it's like, well, when am I supposed to do my work? And it's just like, work-life balance. Yeah, but you still want me to do the work. Yet you're putting me on all these calls.
Right.
the ability to say no and doing so in a respectful manner is a very important skill that everyone needs to work on and spend a bit of time on.
I think it's the hardest part, isn't it? Separating and delegating time and knowing how best to organise everything in the most optimal, productive, efficient way. And yeah, I guess ruthless prioritisation and delegation as well to the right people is also the...
But I tell you what as well though, Chris, if you're not looking after yourself, then you're not going to get the best out of yourself.
Yeah.
If you think waking up and working to the moment you fall asleep is a productive use of your time, then you are bonkers. A day where I've been out for a run, I've taken 40 minutes to go out for a run, I am far more productive than a day where I don't go out for a run. So taking time for yourself, and don't just stare at a screen all day. Go out, experience the world. It will make you a better person. I think that's something that possibly the pandemic has forced upon us.
Yeah.
You do get a bit more flexibility, but that doesn't mean that people are necessarily using it. They might do a meeting and go and have a nap on the sofa. Don't do that. Go out for a walk. Go out for a run. Do something productive, because you can process a lot of your thoughts when you're out there as well, and then you come back and you can work even harder. And every single minute that you are working is far, far more productive.
Thank you, Matt. That's very, very insightful. Yeah. Leading up to this year then, Mr. Clifton, what is it that people can look forward to this year? What are the new additions from last year? And what are the things that you personally are most excited about, Matt, for this August?
Well, as you can tell, I'm easily excited, so I'm excited about all of it. So I guess the fundamentals, right? Eating and drinking. Let's just make sure people are fed and watered. Neil, our F&B director, is back. He's bringing more food options, more vegan options, more affordable options, as well as the higher end. So we are trying to cater for absolutely everybody. So really looking forward to all the food that we're going to be producing this year. Glass blowing's back. Everyone loves the glass blowing.
Awesome.
We've actually created a bit more of a kind of a theatre feel, so people can actually sit down and enjoy watching the glass blowing and actually engaging with them and learning a little bit more about that process. So that's going to be great. We've got more food and food demo pieces in the area than ever before. Very, very excited about Ryan, who's coming along, is going to be teaching us how to make mocktails with nootropics.
Ooh.
All about that. That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? The seminar zone is going to be good this year. So Sam Cannon's going to be comparing most of it. We're welcoming back Science Fair to do all of our psychedelic content, which is awesome. We've got, so Guy Coxall is going to be talking from Seed Our Future, really good cause. He's going to be talking about some of the cases he's working on this year. One which is happening 3 days before Product Earth, which is going to be a human rights case. It has the potential to change legislation. It's very similar to what's happened in Germany, where we're now looking at this kind of grow your own social club model. Some of these cases that Guy's working on could really, could really pave the way for that. I like to not that, that's all right. So I'm very excited about Guy's contributions. We've got, so Vault Fast coming along. This is going to be exciting. I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of gets picked up by mainstream media. We've got 2 MPs coming along to debate some activists. So it's going to be Simper and Rob Free Cannabis debating these 2 MPs about cannabis policies and what's coming next. It's going to be a lively debate. So I'm really, really excited about that and what that's going to mean for everybody. Our friends at First Wednesdays, they're going to be talking about kind of brand building and things like that in the grey space, and we're going to probably have the likes of Big Nasty on that panel. So that's going to be exciting. I think the big change, apart from the fact we are now CPD accredited, and so anyone that's looking to earn points and build themselves up in this industry can now do that simply by attending Product Earth, is Grow Sunday. So Grow Sunday, this is actually one of James's ideas. We want to help the hydroponic industry, whilst also thinking about creating a path to self-sufficiency for everybody. And that starts with just education. So we're going to kick out all the chairs from the seminar zone, bring in some work benches, and we've partnered with Garden Culture magazine. and we're going to be doing actual workshops where you can physically get your hands dirty. We're still finalising the lineup, but imagine a world where you're talking about marvelous mycelium and learning how to grow your own mushrooms, or how you can prepare your own living soil, or building a hydroponic setup, and actually give people the equipment and the ways and means to be able to do that. So really excited about Grow Sunday. That's going to be one not to be missed. BMX is back. Can't get enough of the BMX. Love that. I mean, obviously, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, no one fall off. I'm not sure if my insurance is going to cover them. But it's fun. And again, extreme sports and cannabis and natural medicines go hand in hand. So we're going to have all the guys from around the world coming in for that. So it is going to be a bit of a spectacular event this year. And then a big change is going to be After Dark. So we heard the feedback from last year. No one really liked the music proposition that much. It was probably one of the least favourite things that we did. So that was a big learning curve for us. Again, it's because we're not a music festival, so a big stage actually isn't really what people necessarily want. If you're going to get these big name acts, then it's only going to be reflected in the ticket price, and that's why things like Last Day cost so much money. So what we've got is a series of different experiential tents. The Shisha Lounge is back. That was actually one of the more popular parts of last year, and it was lovely just to see everyone chilling out, listening to some low-level music, smoking their shishas. So that's going to be back. We'll have a consumption zone, which is going to be sponsored by Stores and Bickle and the guys from the United Patients Alliance. Hello, Clark. They'll be there helping people with understanding how to use this apparatus as a medical device. And then we come on to the music. So we helped, for the drum and bass fans out there, we helped Shabba-D, which takes me back to my youth. He had some issues with a driving ban, and because he had cannabinoids in his system, he couldn't get his license back. So we helped him get onto a prescription, which is all completely above board. He's had his driving license back, and so he's coming full force with his high-level crew to actually do a performance at Product Earth this year on Saturday night. Really excited about that. Again, it's not what you get at a music festival. It's going to be a little bit more unique as this kind of like MC collective, and he's actually going to be rolling out. You've probably heard it on our page already. There's a new song which my son actually sang as well, which I posted, which my wife wasn't happy about, called Ganja Baby. So he's going to be releasing that as well. So that's going to be awesome. We've got a reggae band from Birmingham that's going to be coming over, and obviously Blazy Susan, who are one of our kind of, I don't even know what to call them. Let's call them like a platinum custom sponsor. They've got loads of cool stuff. So they're bringing back the High Roller World Cup, a physical one, in the main expo hall. And they're hosting a DJ competition, which is running right now. And if you want to find out how to take part, I think it's got until July the, let's say, 10th. And you just make a half an hour mix. And we're going to try and get a nice diverse range of music at the show. And we're going to have 4 different DJs playing. We've already got quite a few different entrants, which looks really, really good. So I'm quite excited about that. And it'll be my team at Product Earth, as well as Blazy Susan. They're going to be doing the judging. But we want to hear from everybody. So we'll be putting all the mixes out there so people can have their say as well. Obviously, what people say matters. So I'm interested to see what people like versus... It's not a show for me. It's a show for everybody else. So it's not about what I like. So really excited about that. We may be having a turp bar. That's a work in progress, that one still. And then we've got a comedy tent and a cinema tent. So you'll be able to see there's going to be a teaser from Skunk Madness, the work that Clark's doing there. But we've also got a list of comedians that are going to be coming up and hopefully making people roar with laughter. So that's going to be really interesting. And then even just like the way we're handling the evening trading, shall we say, will be in nice kind of market cabins, all clearly lit, very easily accessible. Because obviously access is going to be really important for patients, and there's only so much you can do. Like, it's grass, so unfortunately, if people are on wheelchairs, that can be difficult. But we are organising around kind of like the concrete gangways that you can probably remember. Yep. So it should be nice and accessible. We've got loads and loads of care going in for patients, patient car parking right by the patient-friendly campsite as well. We've got like really brand new facilities for all of the patients as well. So that's going to be really important to us to make sure everyone is serviced. If there are patients coming, please do use the facilities. There were some people which kind of went miles away in the corner of the field and then were wondering why the facilities were so far away. So I'm putting that down to bad signage. So we're going to do a lot better job with signposting things this year. But yeah, it's After Dark is going to be epic. We've invested a lot in that, and I think people are going to have a really, really good time. And yeah, we've got the normal camping, but we're also now working with green yurts for our yurt proposition. So rather than the person we worked with last year who didn't do the best job, and we're actually working with a professional company. They do all the yurts at like Silverstone and things like that. And they're really genuinely very, very nice indeed. I know it's not going to be affordable for everyone, but for those that do want to invest a little bit more in their experience of product earth, then they're going to be there with facilities. So I think that covers everything. It's a nightmare to try and remember it all, to be honest. I should kind of just have a list in front of me, but yeah, there you go.
I've got my mental checklist in front of me here, Matt. I was going to ask, you mentioned the camping. What are the camping options? Do people don't necessarily need to stay for the full weekend, although they'll get the full experience? What
I thoroughly recommend staying for the full weekend. So camping options are fairly simple. So you can camp in a tent. We actually had our first warning from the venue this year. They're like, oh, you're growing quite quickly. By the way, this is how many spots you can actually have for camping. You may hit that this year. Please let everybody know. So we've done lots of comms on it. I'd imagine we'll be okay. But we do get a lot of campers. It is how you get the best out of Product Earth. If you don't fancy pitching your own tent, there's lots of RV companies you can rent RVs from. I think we've maybe got about 20 RV spots left. And that's always quite a nice community. I think it is people that drive RVs are a slightly different person, and so there's always quite a nice vibe going on in the RV area. And then for those that are a little bit more decadent, a little bit more bougie, then you do have these yurts and bell tents, and it depends on how crazy you want to go. But some of them are, bells and whistles, and some of them are a little bit more basic. But some of them, you can sleep up to 6 or 8 people in some of them. So it really just depends on exactly what you want to get out of your experience. And we've also got links to all of the local hotels and things like that. So a lot of people will get Airbnbs. Kenilworth is only a little village, but there's
a lot going on.
So many hotels with a stone's throw. So there's plenty of options depending on who you are and what you fancy doing. But if I were you, I'd be going camping all weekend. That's how you get the most out of it.
I agree. For businesses then, Matt, what spaces and opportunities do you still have left for them? Because I know it's a highly in-demand event, but how can companies get involved, and what is it that Product Earth may be looking for as well beyond, I guess, typical sort of cannabis brands as well? Is there anything else out there that Product Earth would like to bring in or
totally.
try and introduce?
So we're diversifying. Now being natural medicines, we are welcoming all types of brands. We've got some nice crystals brands. We've got some fashion brands that are going to be there. In fact, I love seeing. Spoiler alert: THTC are going to be there. I'm wearing one of their T-shirts today. Yes, love THTC. So they're going to be at the show, as well as loads of other kind of fashion brands and labels. And there's genetics brands and CBD, obviously. Lots of kind of edibles, CBD edibles and stuff like that you can enjoy. And we're speaking to a few like professional services, so banks, point of sale services and things like that to actually help businesses. You've got your small business zone. Really love this feature actually. It's I think we've got might be like 12, 13 small businesses this year. It's all sold out now, unfortunately, but it's great to see these small businesses to be able to provide that platform to help them grow. Our urban zone, I don't like the name of the urban zone, we should change that, but the urban zone, that's going to be outside around the BMX park. That's sold out as well. And actually Bank of England have brought a collective together to sponsor that and provide the music during the day, so that's going to be pretty lively. In the main expo hall, we do have the medical zone. We've got about 4 times the amount of medical brands that we've ever had before. I actually need to put a campaign together for that because we're going to have prescribing doctors on site. we're not CQC registered, so you're not going to be able to just walk away with a prescription. But one of the barriers to entry is that initial consultation. So I'll make sure it's clearly documented who's going to be there, how you can get your summary of care, which is one of the barriers to entry that people are like, well, I don't even know what that is. That's what you need to have the conversation with a doctor. So that will be really cool. We've got LPs, so licensed producers. We're going to have the likes of Grow Lab Organics there. So this is, the talk of the town right now. This new British grow in the Isle of Man, which is community owned. We're working with them through Milk and Amber, and really proud of that work. And everyone will get to kind of speak to them and understand what's going on behind there, and there'll be career opportunities there. Rumour has it, Paddy the Baddie himself may be coming down to support. Yeah. Cool. So that'll be cool. And then I think we've got maybe about 15 stands left. We've got over 30 conversations going, so technically we could be oversubscribed, but I would encourage people, if you do want to be at the show, do message me. It's just matt@productearth.life. I'm happy to walk you through options and everything like that. And I think we've probably got 1 or 2 after dark cabins still available as well. So those who are looking for a lower cost option and do want to do some nighttime trading, then definitely reach out to us, because they will be snapped up. But yeah, it's looking to be a sellout show from the exhibitor and sponsor side of things, and we're hoping to see 50% growth year on year on footfall as well. So we had 4,500 last year, and if my maths are correct, that'll be 6,750 this year. We are looking a little bit above that at the moment, which is always promising, but everyone does tend to buy their tickets at the last minute. But what we'll probably end up doing is like some prize draws, so the people that have bought their tickets now will get more chances on the weekly prize draws to win free stuff. So yeah, that's always a nice incentive. Buy your ticket nice and early, because we'll be teeing you up for some freebies. So yeah, there you go. Right there.
Ooh. I was thinking, Matt, on that note, if we'll put all of the links, of course, and everything in the description of the video, but
yeah,
how maybe we were thinking about a giveaway, weren't we, for 2 free tickets?
Yeah, let's do a giveaway. I'm up for it. Yeah. So what, give you a pair of tickets to Product Earth for the weekend?
So, how maybe best to do it is, if we put a link in the description, could someone qualify for a free ticket if someone uses the link in the description, and then we just make a sort of surprise announcement for, oh, well, look, here's your money back, you've got it for free? Would that be a reasonable approach?
Oh, I see. What? So basically, put a link. Okay, here we go. So all of your
free thought
followers, all of your followers are now seeing how the sausage is made. So let's give you a code, right? So for all of your followers, we'll do a discount code so everyone can get 10% off a code. And then let's, I'll pick out a date, and I don't know, it depends when this goes out, but let's say if you've booked your ticket by X date, there is a chance you'll get an email from me refunding a pair of tickets. How about something like that?
I think that's nice, Matt. And yeah, we'll put the codes and whatnot in the description for everyone so that they can get involved and find out a few more details and find you a bit more easily. That'd be very fun. And also, science and safety, Matt. How are we making Product Earth safer this year? What are the scientific foundations that are going to be in place to make education more accessible, make safety more accessible, and inform the public on cannabis, other compounds, and so that they can basically make better decisions as well, in addition to their health and longevity with regards to their consumption of exogenous substances.
Chris, so I'm glad you brought this up. So, I mean, before I kind of get into the specifics on that, running an event of this nature, there's so many corners you can cut, and a lot of people do. We don't. We have, we're fully insured, obviously, to start off with. You know, if a company's not insured, then you are at risk by being there. Anything could happen, and you need to be making sure that you're safe. So it starts with insuring yourselves. We've then got, we go through a SAG meeting, which is essentially where you speak to the local council and the police and ambulance, and you talk about exactly what the show is and does. And they're all like nodding along, okay, that's great. So I think don't fight against people, work with them. So that's what we do. We do it every single year, and this year is no different. It was actually my first year of attending one of these SAG meetings. Glad I did. Learning experience. There's attention to detail is important. So we've done all of that. As you know, Chris, as any employees that work for the Product Earth group, so either Product Earth or Milk and Amber, they all have to go through cannabis safety training. I mean, you know, some of the people that we're working with are experts, beyond experts, masters in this field. I'm not putting myself in that category. And even they said that from the cannabis safety we did last year, it was eye-opening, and they learned a lot of things. So I'm glad that we mandate that. I don't like the term mandate, but we do at Product Earth, and we'll now be going through a similar cannabis safety training with all of our security and medics. You know, things happen. You know, it's sometimes you might misdose something, whatever it may be. Maybe prescription medicine. You know, we have a lot of patients. They are consuming their medicine completely legally. But they may take the wrong dose or something like that and not feel great. It's important that the medics understand how to handle these things. And so, yes, it'll be very important we do that proper briefing just before the show. We'll have some posters up all over the place, just kind of educating people. It's always the combustion versus vaping one. That's the one that kind of...
That's the biggest eye-opener.
Well, the fact is, if you smoke it... I mean, I love a joint, don't get me wrong, but you're wasting so much. All this smoke is just something you're not consuming, and the fact that vaping is just healthier for you as well. It'd be good to move people into that. And actually, once you get used to not smoking joints all the time, I feel you get a better terp profile anyway through the vapor. My personal take, because you're not burning paper and all the rest of it. Personal opinion. So yes, we'll be doing all of that. We'll be sharing content from you on our Instagram, on our website, and we'll need to get that into the show guide as well, so it's easily accessible for anybody. But at the end of the day, you know, my team, there's always going to be someone in the office that you can come and speak to, even if you just have questions. And obviously, Chris, you'll have your stand.
I will be there. So
we'll be pointing people. Go and speak to Chris. But yes, safety is important, and we take it very seriously. You know, if you want these things to kind of progress, then doing the boring stuff, which actually I find really interesting, spoiler alert, I think is really, really important. It legitimizes what we do. And if we act responsibly, then people will leave us alone. It's there, you know, when we can start cutting corners, putting people in harm's way, that's when problems can arise and the spotlight can suddenly be shone on you.
Thought leaders, industry leaders, community leaders, Product Earth.
Well, yeah, do you know what, Chris? Just a plug for you and all the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. You know, you're doing the legwork so other people don't have to. Writing all the papers that you're working on right now, creating these educational platforms, it's crucial. And no matter what your business is in this space, you should be investing money and taking time to think about safety, not only of your employees, but of also every single customer that you serve. So hats off to you for that.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Sorry, that's my wife calling me.
How dare she?
How dare she?
The work-life balance again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not during the day. Not during the day, darling.
Designated hours. I was going to ask Matt, would you mind giving a little overview of the details for people that would like to attend this year? Where is it? What are the dates? And how many tickets do they need? When do they need to be there?
These are the kind of things that I should have prompted myself, right? As a marketer, I should be able to understand a strong call to action. Right, so the dates are, it's from the 18th to the 20th of August. Camping starts on the Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and the show ends at 6 or 7 on Sunday night, and that's when everyone's going to leave and make their way home. Arrive early to avoid disappointment and long queues, definitely, and they can really, really build up. We're only going to have one point of entrance, and either James or I are going to run to that gate and do what 3 words. Everyone always gets lost. It's great having a big site, but it's not great because people get lost, and even when they're in there, they're wondering about it. You kind of see people like in the corner of a field, like, we've been over there, we're over here. So a lot more signposting, but I think the what 3 words is really going to help people find the right gate. And it's just everyone's going to go through the same spot, and the only exception to that are blue badge holders who'll be coming through the main gate and going into the disabled parking, but everyone else is going through the main gate. There will be a bus taking you from the car park down to the show or down to the campsite, but if you don't want to take the bus, it's only a 12-minute walk, but not everyone wants to do a 12-minute walk, and that's why we've got a bus. And you'll see Orange County branding on there, and I dare say they will have lots of goodies for you on the bus as well to enjoy. We love everyone at Orange County CBD.
Now, I've got a very big question for you, Matt. I don't know if you've been watching Twitter recently.
Go on. Sorry, my phone just...
Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. Who's your money on?
It's just like a... the outcome's just going to be bad no matter what it is, right? I'm going to be in Zuck's camp. I think, the public perception, there's always reality versus perception, and I think people perceive Zuck in this kind of bad light. He's a really nice guy. He is. He genuinely thinks about people. He's genuinely trying to help the world. Is what he's building right now necessarily what people want? I don't know. It's not for me to say, but I'd support Zuck. Elon, that guy, he's dangerous, right? He's playing the markets. He's cost people millions and millions of dollars by saying things on Twitter, and I don't think that's cool. And even I've heard that he's now dropped 15 grand off the price of a Tesla. Wow, that's great. Well, actually what it's done is it's squashed the second-hand market for Teslas. And so people that do own them, suddenly the value has dropped. The people that are selling them, value has dropped. Dangerous man, dangerous ideas, and Twitter, well, I don't know.
Gone off it slightly.
It's not my cup of tea. I don't think I'd ever work there, so I don't think I'm damaging any opportunities for me in the future. But let me balance it out. Well done for Twitter for accepting CBD advertising, although it is with strange policies and only in certain markets. But at least they are leaning into that. I think everyone should take a bit more of a proactive step into allowing cannabis and CBD marketing on their platforms. Is that democratic or diplomatic?
I think that's a very good answer, Matt. You ticked all the boxes there. I think, it's been interesting watching just... I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's like YouTube boxing, isn't it? Just like little Twitter spats taking place on the internet, and fun to watch, but also fun to speculate as well. So we'll put you down for a Zuckerberg win, first round.
Yeah, Zuckerberg win. Absolutely.
Oh, well, Matt, I want to say a big thank you for taking the time to sit down and go through this podcast and talk about these points with me, and for sharing all of this with everyone as well. And I also want to ask if you've got any final remarks, concluding points, words of wisdom, messages of support, or anything like that, that you would like to wrap up with.
Yeah. Do you know what I do?
Okay, cool.
It goes right back to what I was kind of talking about at the start. That one of the most shocking things is that I found about the world of cannabis and natural medicines. Let's just group it all together. Is that bearing in mind we all want the same thing? Being so divisive, being negative, pulling people down is not the way to do it. We should celebrate one another, celebrate our successes, and collaborate as much as possible, because we are all stronger together.
I think that continues nicely on with the theme of community and people that we've discussed today, Matt. So, Thank you for your wise words. Thank you very much for your time. And
Sorry,
thank you.
my light bulb out, and my wife called, and someone else called.
And then the cat appeared. Well, we just got a multifaceted interview, didn't we?
It's the real view, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how things actually done. There's no big offices. It's just me in my kitchen. People scattered around the country helping us out, doing whatever we can. So yeah, there you go.
And yet
it's all real.
And yet you put together such a wonderful event, Matt. So thank you from me for also putting so much effort into it and building such a wonderful thing, and yes, giving such a good representation of the cannabis industry. So thank you, James. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Matt, and all of the other wonderful people in the background to make all of this possible and put such a lovely weekend together for everyone to come and actually meet people in person, interact, see what it's all about, and get a sort of frontline, real-world view of the cannabis industry and its people. So, thank you very much, Matt. Very much appreciate your time, and all of the details that we've discussed, we'll put them in the description of the video, and look forward to...
Code.
Oh, yes. Actually, we may have a code. It might not work still, Matt. GCS10. So, if you... Okay, awesome. So
we'll make sure the right one though.
All the codes will be in there. Get your discount ticket. Come and see us at Product Earth between the 18th and 20th. And look forward to seeing you all there. And thank you very much again, Matt. And see you all very soon.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate you taking the time.